Portland has been in the headlines a lot recently, so today we're going to go over 24 things that you should know before you consider making the move here. I would watch this until the very end because number 23 and 24 really unlock a bit of a mystery that not a lot of people know before moving here. I'm Tim Jackson, and today we're on the Willamette River at the East Bank Esplanade. We are right in front of the Oregon Opera, and this is Tillicum Crossing right here, brand new pedestrian bridge. I am an Oregon and Washington licensed realtor. So that means if you are thinking of moving up here, you're gonna land in PDX, come check out some homes, make sure to subscribe and sign up for my headhunters list down below, because that's gonna make you the first to know when a home in our area hits the market. You'll actually get to see homes that Redfin and Zillow aren't gonna show you. So we're gonna now start with the first thing you should know of 24 things. And the first thing you should know is that you probably hear it rains in Oregon, but it doesn't rain a huge volume, it just rains very frequently. So right here is gonna show you the water volume, the highest water volume cities in all of the United States. And then where Portland lands. Now this is going to show you the cities in America where it rains the most frequently. So we have a lot of frequency of rain where you could get gray clouds like this at 2 o'clock, and then by 4 o'clock it's cleared up. So even if it's just a light drizzle, that counts as a rainy day in Portland. Now, the second thing that you should know is that the west side over there is very different from the east side. There's a reason that there's a river that splits it. There's a reason we're called Bridge City. And so what you should know about the west side, and we're gonna get more into this later into the video, is that the west side is definitely hilly, a little bit more exclusive, higher price point. And then the east side of Portland is sprawling. It goes all the way out to Gresham. That's where you got a lot more affordable options and a lot more of the walkability, a lot more of the bars, and a lot more of the nightlife. So now the third thing you should know is that Portland, while cast as a dangerous place, is only dangerous in certain aspects. Portland has fairly high property crime. So if you were living in Multnomah County, which is really Portland proper, I would not go to sleep with my door unlocked or leave, stuff, valuables out in your car. Our property crime rate is pretty high when you're comparing it to other cities, but our violent crime rate is fairly low when you compare it to cities with a similar population. So when it comes to safety, I would say that Portland is actually kind of a mild city. The only things that are gonna kill you in Portland are things that are gonna end up on the headline news. Now, the fourth thing you should know is that Portland is home to the world's 5th coolest neighborhood, and watch it after we're done with this video because there's still a ton more important information. It's a super walkable neighborhood, just a little bit, few minutes that way. I did a full video of walking around that entire neighborhood and going sightseeing. So yeah, check out that video after this one is done. The fifth thing you should know is that our airport is recently remodeled. And we are talking just within the last couple months, they just finished the first stage of many. That is also another video that I just recently did. So definitely go check that one out after as well. There's a whole playlist. Definitely subscribe if you're looking to see the most recent stuff in Portland. That's another great reason to come visit or come consider a move up here. Now, the sixth thing you should know about Portland is that it's got pockets for literally everybody. We talked about the west and the east side, but there are pockets all over Portland. We're also talking Vancouver, where if you want a low tax burden, there is a massive tax hack that I just did in last week's video on 15 things you should know when moving to Vancouver, Washington. But there's pockets like Clackamas County, Washington County, Yamhill County if you want to get out into the wine country. And then there's even Columbia County if you really want to get out closer into the forest and out towards the ocean. There's tons of great pockets like Oregon City that we're going to talk about in just a second. And that second is now. There's actually 4 waterfronts that are about to pop off, and Oregon City is one of them. West Linn, Vancouver has already happened, and you see me in the Vancouver waterfront all the time, and Camas is a 4th that is coming your way. Now, the similarity between Camas, West Linn, and Oregon City's, the admin building's already been demolished. There are paper mills in all three of those cities that are now either getting demolished, shutting down, or in very serious talks about getting shut down. And what's going to happen is these buildings, these paper mills that smell, not really a great downtown environment, they're going to get shut down, and they are creating these awesome waterfronts. It already came to Vancouver, and Vancouver has exploded. We've seen massive growth in Vancouver because of it. And so we're also going to see massive growth in places like West Linn and Oregon City. Places that have already taken off are going to take off just that much more. So definitely subscribe and stay tuned, because I am covering live footage of when they're demolishing it. I'm going to be covering it as it gets ready for full development. I think Oregon City is going to be ready by 2028. This is really going to change and give Portland as a whole a facelift. People say that Portland is dead and this downtown walking area is dead. The waterfront's dead. There's nothing going on in Portland. Okay, fine. Let's just for the sake of the argument, say that is true. And they say, well, if Portland's dead, the suburbs also have to be dead. That is definitely not true. I would argue that Portland is not dead. Portland is actually making a comeback, a resurgence. But I would go so far as to say that the suburbs are only gonna take off and become their own thing, especially with these waterfront projects that are gonna make Niagara Falls as a tourist attraction really look like a puny little water park. So the next thing we're gonna talk about is education, which is fitting because we just arrived at the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry. The thing you should know about Oregon is that we do not rank very high when it comes to education. In fact, of all 50 states, Oregon is ranked number 40 in education. It's not great. If you look at the list of the nation's 100 best high schools, that's K through 12 or anything in between, and you're looking at private or public, you've got to go all the way to number 86 to see the Portland area's first school, which is a private school out near St. Vincent Hospital. It's not even in Portland, it's in Washington County, kind of near Bethany, where we've done a lot of videos. You should also know that if you have money, you can put your kids in a private school. 4 of the 5 best ranked K through 12 schools in Portland are private. And when we were talking about the dichotomy of the west side versus the east side, the haves and the have-nots, that goes further towards if you have kids and you want them to go to a great school, most often that's going to be a private school if you want it to be an A+. So if you have money, Portland is a great place to be. If you are looking for a super affordable place and you've got kids and you are really education is top priority, then you're going to want to do a lot of research about the best school in the area that's passable, because some schools, quite frankly, don't cut it. Corbett High School, which is out past Gresham into the Gorge, ranks really well, and there are some affordable homes out in Corbett, so that's a little shout out there. So number 9, the 9th thing you should know is that we rank number 2 in the nation in infrastructure. Now, I'm actually going to debate some of this, because even though it is a bragging point to say that Portland is second best at something, the commute time is about 22 minutes on average. I definitely agree with that. Now, they are saying that only 7% of our roads are unimproved or need improvement. I don't know, maybe it's because I spent way too much time on the east side, but I definitely don't think that's true. And even if you go out into the West Hills, there's tons of unimproved and narrow roads out there. So I'm not sure where they're pulling that stat from. I would have to disagree with that one. And then 43% of our energy is renewable. That's not surprising, given that we are a green state. We have been since the 60s. Not sure what that has to do with infrastructure per se. That's more of an environmental score. But hey, we will take a second place ranking in something if it's given to us. I am right under the I-5 bridge, and we just got done talking about infrastructure, so I guess that is kind of fitting. It's kind of another reason I debate the infrastructure is that there's a bottleneck on I-5 just a little bit further ahead. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little bit of a critic because I love Portland so much and know it a little bit too well. You know, I guess I could see other cities being scored lower. So the 10th thing you should know before moving or heading out to Portland here is that, and this is a little bit of history, is that we are called Stumptown. And that's because when settlers arrived, we started as a lumber, a beaver trap, as a, the end of the Oregon Trail ends right in Oregon City. We're called Stumptown because they leveled all the trees. We had all these beautiful old growth trees, and as green as we are now, and as much as we care about green spaces and sustainability, we started off as a city that chopped all of our trees down, and that is how we became known as Stumptown. Stumptown is also a great coffee roaster in the area, so if you are visiting and you want a good cup of coffee, I would definitely recommend Stumptown as a great choice. Man, I'm telling you that this is a problem, that these pirate ships, they're called pirate ships, they just kind of a cheat around the system, even though Portland is clamping down on the homeless. I don't know if the maritime rules quite apply, so these guys are actually causing quite the problem. A lot of these ships are sinking. They're like basically hand-me-out boats that nobody wants, and it's creating a lot of pollution. So the 11th thing you should know is that college football is far more followed and taken seriously in our area than NFL. The reason is because we've got Corvallis and Eugene just to our south. A lot of people are either super big fans of the Ducks or the Beavers. I grew up going to Ducks games down in Eugene. And so, yeah, ask somebody if they're a Beaver or a Duck, and they're likely to tell you one or the other. A fun little fact is that a mix of the two, if you're a fan of the both, you're a platypus. Get it? Beaver, Duck, platypus. We've got the Blazers with the NBA just over there. They're not too hot now that Lillard's left. We've also got the Timbers, which are in MLS, and the Thorns. Man, soccer is taken so seriously in the Portland area. We've got a hockey team, Winter Hawks. I've actually been out on the ice in uniform during the national anthem. But Portland's also known for just all these obscure sports. I mean, there's this guy that rides around in a Darth Vader outfit riding a unicycle. You got axe throwing, you've got hacky sack, you've got frisbee golf, you've got all of these funny sports that Portland, you could basically name any of them and there's somebody that does it. You've also got IndyCar and you've got Formula E that are happening at Portland International Raceway. So if you're an auto sports fan, you've got that going on. Now, the 12th thing you should know is that Portland is getting back to its job of just being weird. There are statistics showing that less people think Portland is getting worse. Now, I know that confused you guys in the comments last time I said it, but it's true. Less people think Portland is getting worse year over year. And what that means is 10 or 15 years ago, people were flocking to our city saying it is the cool next place to be. And a lot of people are saying that that might be coming back. The 13th thing to know is that if you're coming to Portland, not only are you gonna get a great diverse selection of food, but according to Wallet Hub, you are gonna get the 4th best city for it from a standpoint of good food and affordable food. And Salem, our capital to the south, actually ranks number 1 as the most affordable place. Now, I think this is just due to the fact that Portland is so food cart heavy. We really allow food carts to come in, and it brings in all sorts of, the barrier of entry to be a chef or to be a great cook and to serve your taste and your take on food is not that high. A very low barrier of entry to make great food in Portland. If you are thinking of visiting, moving, or just looking into the Portland, Oregon area, subscribe down below to stay in tune with what the market and our area is doing. You can also sign up for my headhunters list where I can find you the perfect Portland property. A huge thing you should know about our area before you move here, and this one's big, is that we rank the 41st worst on affordability. But we rank the 14th best on livability and quality of life. Now, in comparison, California ranks the 49th worst on affordability, but the 2nd best on quality of life. And, when you've got sunny beaches like that, it's kind of just the common, everybody knows it, that if you live in a great area, normally that's gonna create an exclusive place. California beachfront is expensive as it is because it's just a great place to be. And Oregon shadows that in kind of a small little sister way. Similarly, Washington State is the 39th worst place as far as affordability, but it's the 9th best as far as quality of life. Now, if you're wanting to go to a place that's extremely affordable, Alabama ranks the best on affordability, but you know, their quality of life doesn't quite stack up. The 15th thing you should know is that our weather is pretty mild. You're not gonna get the crazy low temperatures like you do in Colorado. You're gonna have a lot of 40s and 50-degree weather in the wintertime. Sure, you'll get like 100-degree weather in the summer, but it'll only last for a couple days. Most of the time, our summers are 80, 90. Our falls are really pleasant. It's October right now, and man, I really love this weather. Spring is great. Allergies come around, but spring is when everything's blooming. So many trees that the color change in fall. I love it. You should come and check out Portland in the fall time. The 16th thing you should know before you head out here is that Portland is not the hustle bustle of the East Coast. Even Colorado was a kind of weird mix of the West Coast and the East Coast, I thought. Denver was really mean when I got there, and it felt like even though they had some of that eclectic West Coast, Wild West culture, it was infused with everybody wearing the business suits and being kind of stiff. Portland is so laid back. I'd say really my only complaint with Portland culture is that sometimes when you go into a coffee shop, you have those baristas or the servers that are just not super friendly, or they kind of like that really flat, mean hipster vibe. I would rather, if I'm going to spend especially in this economy, if I'm spending money on a nice cup of coffee, I want a friendly smile, service. Look, you know, I think tip culture has gotten a little bit outrageous, and I will tip even when it's not asked for. Portland's one of only 2 states that gas attendants are still a thing. They'll come out and pump your gas. To me, I would rather tip somebody that's out in the cold pumping gas with a smile on their face than a barista at a high-end coffee shop that's just gonna give me a blank expression and act like I shouldn't exist. Guys, we're already struggling with enough. If we go and get a cup of coffee, I mean, maybe I'm in the service industry, but I don't think you should be scowling at people. It's just not nice. So, but Portland culture honestly is super laid back. We don't have that business vibe. A lot of people will actually just not wear a suit. You'll notice that our business, if you say dress in business attire, is a lot different than what New York's business attire is. The 17th thing you should know before taking a trip out here or moving out here is that Portland is just full of green space. You're not gonna see it from here because the downtown skyline is blocking it, but just behind those hills is the amazing Forest Park. We have got so many green areas. I mean, just so many places to escape. We've obviously got the gorge, but even if you look at a satellite map of Portland compared to most cities, you'll just see all of the green areas available. We've been to Laurelhurst Park. We've been to Mount Tabor on our videos. We're definitely gonna be going to Forest Park in one of the next ones. Now, the 18th thing you should know before heading over here, and of course I'm saying this as I'm right next to a river and a bunch of bridges, is that the big earthquake is due. I said that Portland's mild and there's nothing out here that can kill you. You know, we don't have alligators, we don't have crocodiles, we don't have major poisonous snakes, but there is a major earthquake that is due to hit. I guess it's every 300 years. I've been in the Oregon National Guard for 13 years, and we train and drill every year. We include the local native tribes, and we do a Cascadia rising exercise. But yeah, there's a Cascadian subduction fault, which is over in the Pacific Ocean, and apparently that thing is supposed to slip underneath and every 300 years create a catastrophe of an earthquake. So I mean, if you move to Portland, just know that there's not going to be a yearly or once a decade flood or hurricane, but yeah, you could go out with a bang in a 1 in a 300 year event. The 19th thing you should know is that Portland is home to the world famous naked bike ride. That's right, Portland once a year will shut down its streets and there's a massive naked bike ride that happens. So if you are afraid of naked people on bikes, maybe don't plan your visit around that specific weekend.
But these are my recreation clothes.
The 20th thing you should know about our area is that just like in last week's video, our area is home to lots of good boys. We're gonna cut to a video of my dog and me on my skateboard, and then 3 different parks that you can take your dog to if you are moving to Portland with a 4-legged creature. Whoa, what did I say? Is that blue sky? I'm colorblind. I think that is blue sky opening up above me. I am telling you, that is blue sky. I'm telling you, this is what Portland's known for, is it was just raining like 2 hours ago. Yesterday it was downpour, and then you get a nice little peak of blue sky. But the 21st thing you should know, and speaking of blue, is that Portland is very blue. Guys, if you are like triggered by people that vote Democrat or by liberals, I would not move to Portland, at least not Portland proper. Now, Portland does have a lot of purple and even red pockets if you go further than 30 minutes to an hour out. But if you're living in Portland proper, I'd say like 88% of the Woodstock neighborhood voted left in the 2020 elections. So you should definitely be comfortable with, even if you're like, what's the word, a centrist or a moderate, or if you are right-leaning, you've got to be comfortable with people that think on the left. Another thing to know, and this is the 22nd thing you should know, is that we're not just, I mean, we're world famous for the headquarters of Nike and Intel, but we're also home to the Adidas North America's headquarters, Daimler's North America headquarters, Danner Boots, Pendleton Wool. This isn't really well known, but here are Portland's top 10 biggest employers. The 23rd thing you should know, and we've kind of hit this quite a few times in this video, is that Portland is a pretty mild place. We've got a pretty mild, laid-back culture. We've got mild weather. We've got very, very mild wildlife. Like, Portland's more home to like the coyotes than the wolves, more home to the black bear than the brown bear, you know, and we get some like minor weather events, maybe some minor flooding. You look up the 1996 flood event, that was, the Columbus Day floods were actually pretty big. But for the most part, you should expect mild and safe to be the norm. A lot of people like to research this stuff before they make a move to a city of like major concerns. Like, yeah, you should check out the flood maps, you should check out landslide prone areas, but for the most part, if you move to the Portland area, you're gonna have a lot of security and safety, knowing that your home can't be upended the next day. You know, we're seeing that awful stuff in Florida where massive, like once in a century hurricanes keep hitting, and Portland just doesn't have events like that very often. Now, the final thing, the 24th thing you should know before making your move out to the Portland metro area is the relative affordability. We already talked about this when we were talking about California compared to Oregon and our livability versus affordability. And Portland actually ranks quite high when it comes to our affordability. We're gonna browse through really quickly the different price points of all the neighborhoods. And you already saw me talk about the west versus the east side and those price points. And then you've also got a Vancouver with a ton of affordable options. And now we're gonna compare it to the different cities that you could choose from. And this is a very popular piece, so pay attention here, is that here's the average house price of Los Angeles, of San Francisco, of San Diego, of Seattle. Now here's some cheaper options like maybe Boise. I don't even think Boise's cheaper than Portland. This number is going to tell you. And then we've got Spokane. And then sure, let's throw in like places like Miami, New York. Let's throw in Austin, Texas, since that's kind of the weird little sister of Portland. And now, drum roll please, we're gonna look at a couple different numbers, but let's just take in the entire Portland metro area, average price. Now let's just look at Portland proper. And finally, let's look at the average house price of, let's go up to Vancouver. So you can see that when it comes to a lifestyle, we've listed 24 different things you should know. So now you know that when it comes to Portland, we still present a fairly affordable place to live for what you get. There's lots to do out here. Definitely stay subscribed if you are looking into moving to our area, because we've got a lot more videos like this coming your way. Watch one of these videos next, and I'll see you next week.